So I had an idea that I wanted to talk about. Classes for 5.0, classes that I think would be cool, and just kind of talk about like what they could do and how they could do it. And then I also want to talk about classes I would like to see. Now, with us going into 5.0 and Garlemald and all that's going to be kind of a focus of that when we're going after the Empire and stuff. I thought that within the trailer they showed the Gunblade. It got me thinking. With this patch, or with this time that they could add, if they're adding a Gunblade, which it looks like they probably are in Final Fantasy, like what would that be like as a class? What could they do? And then if they were going to stick with that where it's a Gunblade and he doesn't technically have magic abilities because he comes from Garlemald, that they would stick with that theme for every class for the expansion. Now, Blue Mage doesn't count because technically it's coming out in 4.5, so it's not even a part of the 5.0 expansion. But if they were going with that one where it's like Garlemald and where they can't use magic, so it's classes that they would have, and they're doing a tank and healer, since technically they did a DPS with Blue Mage. I have another thought on that later too. That another class they could do is what you see on screen here would be the Chemist. And it would be a healer class that doesn't use magic. To kind of stay within that theme of the Empire type classes. Now, of course, there's other stuff you could do. You could do like an engineer, Magitech engineer, or a Magitech class that maybe uses Magitech armor as like their weapon, which I don't know how that would work. And it would be cool to see. I just don't know how well implemented it could be. Like you're running around in a Magitech armor suit, like a mech. Would be pretty cool. But if they're going with the healer DPS tank thing, Blue Mage would be technically our DPS. Chemist could be the healer, and Gunblade could be the tank. We're going to talk about the Chemist first. It was a cool class in Final Fantasy Tactics, I think. It was kind of basic, but because you had to have a Chemist to start being a lot of other things. But the cool thing about the Chemist is you can make a healer that utilizes potions, because nothing really utilizes potions in the game. Now, I don't know how that would be like if you would just have it to where, like, once he learned how to use a potion, then that would just technically use his NP/TP gauge to use those things. Like potion, high potion, X potion would be different types of heals. But you could turn that into abilities and then make a rotation off of it. You could do like maybe different type of abilities would buff the effectiveness of your potions, like I don't know, like a herbalist, grand herbalist ability or something like that, so that way you can work in some stuff for a rotation. Or even just to kind of play with the gameplay a little bit, to change it up, maybe where they have to have stacks of the potions that they go to use, but they're way more effective with that class. So say like, now I don't know how that would work in raiding and stuff, because you can only hold up to 99, and if you do more than 99 heals, then you're kind of fucked, so I don't know how that would work. But It could be a way to do it just to change up the gameplay type of it, to give something fresh to the game. Um, but I think if they were going to go with a Empire-themed classes for this one, that if they were going to do a healer and a tank, the Gunblade would be the tank, and the only other one I could even ever think of would be the Chemist. So, of course, it couldn't be exactly the same as it was in Tactics because there's a lot of different systems in that game that it doesn't have, but yeah, I think that's kind of cool. Or maybe just a ability where they have, you can hit a button like throw a potion. That would be an actual skill, and then you can actually throw a potion at somebody, you know, instead of, so that would just be kind of like a gimmicky kind of thing, but it would still kind of hold true to the class. That'd be kind of cool. But Gunblade would be the more obvious cool one to talk about. So Gunblade could be, because I tried to look it online and I couldn't find an actual Gunblade class. I found a Gunblade specialist in something, and I can't remember which Final Fantasy that was, but that would be, you could do that as a cool class. I mean, you can have it where they load maybe different ammo types to do different types of attacks. So you can have like a high impact type of ammo that you put in there. You can have like a trigger ability to where like you have to shoot the gun like you did in Final Fantasy VIII to get extra damage or something. I'm not sure how they could do it, but they could fit it in and make it work. And those would be the two classes that I think would be the only fit that I can think of for a Garlemald type deal, without going into like Magitech stuff. Like I said earlier, a Magitech Engineer or a Magitech Knight, which you could do, because if you go off of like Final Fantasy VI, Magitech Armor had the ability to harness magic and use it as an ability. So you could do that for the Garlemald classes. So maybe like the Gunblade could have like lightning bullets that they put in their gun, or fire bullets. And the Chemist could have like, oh, that'd be a cool ability, like they have different types of potions that actually buff weapons, because that's not something that any class has, but they've had that in trailers before. Like in the 1. Like the original trailer, the 1.x trailer, you had it where it was showing like the healer was putting fire on the guy's arrow. But that's not in the game. Which I think would be cool. Having like a primarily support, like buff support class would be really cool. I think that's something that's completely missing and could be a different stick for a healer to have a different, because you know, as of right now, you got like healers, they heal and they have shields and bubbles, but you could have a healer that was a pure support role, and the point where it augments the whole group, and that's part of their rotation, is keeping these extra damage bonuses and stuff and defense bonuses up that are on timers. So that could be something like a Chemist could do. They make some type of concoction where you throw it on somebody and it like applies elemental bonuses to somebody's weapon. Would be kind of cool. Another class that could do that would be a Geomancer. So that's those.